This hit, that nice man, poor Jay Gatsby, that sad end. This one about tragic girls, them helpless girls, straight masterpiece. Styling, holding, living it up in the city. Got cancer and a cool boyfriend. Gotta stop myself, I'm so nerdy. It's too hot, oh man. Call the police and the fireman. It's too hot, oh man. See the dragon and the Shireman. It's too hot, oh man. Say her name, you know who she is. It's too hot, oh man. Am I bad about that money? Break it down. Words hit you, hallelujah, woo. Words hit you, hallelujah, woo. Words hit you, hallelujah, woo. It's on Red Book, gonna give it to you, woo.
Hello everyone, my name's Amber for those who don't know me. Today I'm going to give you a brief tutorial on what public lending rights are and how they work. The Public Lending Rights Scheme is a federal government program which makes payments to eligible creators and publishers in recognition of lost income resulting from loans and other free uses of their books in public lending libraries. The Public Lending Rights Scheme has been in operation since 1974, but was given legislative support with the enactment of the Public Lending Right Act in 1985, which provided the framework of the scheme. Although closely related to copyright, public lending rights remain distinct from the Copyright Act. Under copyright, a writer, illustrator, or other owner of copyright in a book can prevent the unauthorized reproduction of the work. The Copyright Act does not extend to give the same statutory rights to creators or publishers to demand and receive remuneration in respect of the public lending of their work. The significance of this is that if these rights are not recognized as falling within the scope of copyright, it is then possible for Australia to limit the benefits of the PLR scheme to Australian authors rather than having to accord national treatment to foreign authors as would otherwise be required under the Berne Convention. The PLR scheme is not within the scope of the Berne Convention and does vary across countries. Why have PLR then? Well, simple. The organized borrowing system in which libraries engage is of no financial benefit to an author or publisher apart from revenue generated by the original sale, so that multiple users of a book may benefit without authors or publishers receiving a corresponding return. So it is a way to encourage creators to continue to create work for the public enjoyment and receive some form of compensation. The government has introduced two types of schemes: public lending rights and education lending rights. PLR applies only in respect to loans of books from public lending libraries that does not include the National Library of Australia and any reference libraries established by the government of a state or territory. In comparison, an educational lending rights scheme was established in 2000 to provide similar rights in respect of universities and school libraries. The Public Lending Right Act 1985 provides a legislative framework for the PLR scheme of 1997. For the purposes of the Act, a Public Lending Right Committee was appointed by the Minister to administer the scheme. The Act provides that the Minister may gazette a scheme which sets out the detailed arrangements for applying for and receiving payments. The PLR Committee represents Australian authors, publishers, and librarians appointed by the Minister for the Arts. The Public Lending Right Committee has a number of responsibilities under the PLR Act, including determining the eligibility of claimants, the amount of payment to a claimant, approving payments under the scheme, and providing recommendations and advice to the Minister about the operation of the scheme. There is a long list of eligibility requirements under the scheme. First, an eligible claimant may be anyone involved in the creation of a book, including authors, illustrators, translators, editors, compilers, or others. This means that a book does not need to be published to be eligible. All claimants must be Australian citizens or residents, but does not require them to be permanent residents. Section 5, subsection 2 of the scheme requires that an eligible creator must be the sole creator of the book or one of not more than 5 creators of the book and must be eligible to receive a royalty payment for the sales of copies of a book. PLR only makes payments to living creators, but a payment may be made in the year a creator has died. The committee can approve payments to a legal personal representative of an eligible creator for the financial year in which he or she died, if a claim has been made. However, no further payments will be made after the program year in which the creator has died. Under subsection 6 of the scheme, there is no nationality or resident requirement for publishers, and the question of eligibility is left as a matter to be dealt with in the scheme. Under section 6, the requirements are that the person must have published the book in Australia and must be one of the following. A person whose business consists wholly or substantially of the publication of books and who regularly publishes, or B, a person who owns or controls an undertaking which consists wholly or substantially of the publication of books and which regularly publishes books in Australia, or C, a creator of a book within the meaning of Section 5, or a non-profit Australian organization that published the book in advance with its aims or objectives. Section 7 also provides that the Crown, an authority established by law of the Commonwealth, state, or territory, cannot be eligible as a publisher under the scheme. And Section 9 provides that the status of an eligible publisher is lost when the person transfers the rights to publish to another publisher who then publishes the book in Australia. Not all books are eligible under the scheme. Section 10 provides that the requirements for an eligible book under the scheme include that it must have an international standard book number, it has been published and offered for sale, has an identifiable creator or creators, has a total number of eligible creators not exceeding 5, has a catalogue record in an Australian National Bibliographic Database, and has at least 48 pages of printed material except for a book of poetry, drama, or children's work, which only needs to have 24 pages, and it must be claimed within 5 years of publication. Further, Section 3 of the scheme defines the physical features of an eligible book, which includes a written work that has been published, but excludes the following: audiovisual kits, CDs, computer discs, electronic books, magazines, and other publications, talking books, single-use books, which include sticker books, workbooks, diaries, coloring books, and activity books, and any other material determined by the committee. So anything that stems away from these strict requirements will bar any eligibility of making any claim under the scheme and will be barred from receiving any sort of payment. The steps to make a claim are fairly straightforward. First, Section 21, subsection 1, provides that persons who consider that they may be entitled to a payment under the scheme may make a claim by completing an approved form and sending it to the committee. Then, Section 22 of the scheme requires, as soon as practicable after receiving a claim, the committee must make a written determination as to whether the claimant is an eligible creator or publisher. The scheme provides that if 50 or more copies of an eligible book are estimated to be held in the library surveyed, then a payment may be made under the scheme for that book. These books are surveyed annually for 2 consecutive financial years following their year of publication. If in the second year a book is still held in sufficient numbers in public lending libraries, it will be resurveyed at least every 3 years. Books scoring less than 50 copies in the second or subsequent surveys are dropped from the survey cycle. However, if a new title claim is received for a second edition of a book previously claimed and out of the survey, then the book is surveyed again. A sole creator or the publisher of a book will receive the entire PLR payment for that book, but for a joint creator, their share of the PLR payment will be determined by the share of royalties that are entitled to receive for the relevant book. Section 20 of the Act provides for reconsideration of the Public Lending Right Committee of its decisions. A request for reconsideration must be made within 28 days in writing after receipt of the original decision. If unsatisfied with the reconsideration, the creator or publisher can apply to the Administration Appeal Tribunal to review the decision, which has the power to make a fresh decision. So this is kind of like an appeal process. Next, the committee may then authorize the making of payments where the book is an eligible book. Payments are determined by the number of copies of eligible books estimated to be held in the library multiplied by the PLR rate for that financial year. A creator or publisher will only receive a payment if the total amount due to them for all eligible books claimed under the PLR scheme is above $100. PLR claimants are not required to apply each year. Instead, creator and publisher registrations and title claims are automatically carried forward into each successive program, meaning that a single title claim may continue to generate payments for many years or many decades. Some fun facts about the scheme was that last year, the rate per copy of each eligible book was $2 for creators and 50 cents for publishers. In comparison, the year before, the rates were $1.96 per copy of each eligible book for creators and 49 cents for publishers. Last year, the committee approved annual payments of $9.563 million to be distributed to 7,852 claimants. So even though the annual payments might seem large, the number of claimants and the administrative costs that are associated with it needs to be taken into account. So the critical question here is whether there needs to be any changes to the scheme. In reality, creators are not making millions off of the scheme, and the PLR scheme only offers a small amount of compensation for having books at these public libraries. So is the scheme too strict then? Well, individual authors will often receive nothing under the scheme because their books do not meet the minimum number of 50 copies held in public libraries. If they do, the amount they receive may only be small. Books who receive the most compensation are mostly by authors who are well known and whose sales are very high. For a publisher to remain eligible under the scheme, they must be regularly publishing in Australia. This is defined to mean that publishing of at least one new work or revised edition in the preceding 3 years period. Regular publishers in Australia does not include the reprinting of books. With the introduction of the ELR program, I think Australia is doing a suitable job in compensating these creators. However, I think the emergence of globalization and its technological influence changes to the eligibility requirements will need to be changed soon, especially because of the fact that some books are only made available online now.